Hey there, TNA fam! Welcome back to the impzonepod podcast. We're back here to talk about TNA wrestling shenanigans, and today I want to talk about true elevation. Basically, this idea of saying once you get to being a top level guy or a main event level guy, from being a lower card or mid card guy, basically for the most part, you stay there in that upper card area of wrestling. Now, that's not just to say that, like, I think this is why some people stumble over this issue. It's not just that you have, like, the main event or semi-main event. You can have any spot on the card effectively, as long as you are protected and given a good story or a fairly good story or stories to work with, and good opponents and things to work with. Now, certainly when you get into your latter career or older parts of your career, certainly I can see that people would dip down further, but I can see that there is some merit in some people winning a mid-card or a lower card, so to speak, title later in their career, because it can help elevate that title, and it can help elevate the division, and it can help elevate some of the wrestlers within that division as well. I do think most people see that not like perhaps as a demotion or whatever in some ways, but then again, you could say, well, it depends on the position of this, like what position it's all given. Because if it's all given like lower card stuff or barely defended, or what is it when it is defended, the defense is fairly rushed and there's not much story behind it, or there is just, random opponent go or surprise opponent go. Sometimes that happens, certainly, even in the upper card, but like it is a lot less likely, because like a lot of the time you actually need to actually pull your finger out and say, well, what is this? Why, like, maybe on a B show or a TV show it's a bit different, but like on a proper like big four pay-per-view, I would expect you to not do that sort of thing, because again, it feels like, oh wow, we just don't have anything for this person significant enough, to fill the void. Like, when you're filling the void on a less significant show, yeah, sure, okay, sure, that's a bit different. You can argue that, but I would say that it is not preferable. I would say that you still have to put in effort most of the time to make those B shows or C shows or whatever shows you want to call them better, or more entertaining or engaging, because that's why, again, people don't tune in. It's not just because it's a Sunday and another Sunday or whatever it is, or another Saturday. It's that you haven't compelled them to tune in, because you haven't built up enough things for enough of the roster to be doing. Like, what are the stories? What are the matches? What's all happening? What's all going into it? So again, yeah, like that's what you have to do. But again, like, what is like proper elevation is getting someone from the mid card to the upper card, and them virtually staying there in that upper card for the rest of the time. Now, you can look at some people that have done this, and some people that have kind of done this, and other people that have kind of gone and taken sort of a back step in some ways. And I don't know whether that's good, because again, like, is it really that good to give somebody a consolation prize or whatever? But then again, it's like, well, sometimes you need that consolation prize, or if you're going to elevate that consolation prize up a lot more and the person holding it up a lot more, then it will feel a lot better, because, hey, now, when TNA didn't have its world championship, or it kind of didn't have its world championship, you could have pushed the international title up a little bit more, and Steve Macklin up a little bit more, so that he was doing more stuff and given more of a position of, this is an important guy, he's doing important things and whatnot, and we're giving him a lot of, good opponents and good stories and good stuff to work with during that run. He is like representing TNA almost now as the de facto world champion, although he is not the world champion technically, but that world championship is elsewhere aboded, so that would be like what I think you should have done and should have found more time to do and should have found more time to focus in on. But maybe like this story now has taken a different route, but we might talk about that in another time at some point, probably in the upcoming video about No Surrender. But yeah, still like, or maybe it's already out. I don't know when this one will actually be out. So I'm just recording it beforehand. So, but still, like, proper elevation takes time. And I mean, again, you could take somebody else. Look at Rich Swann. He sort of took a fair back step in some ways, but I think, like, in some ways you took a back step in a story to sort of like rebuild sympathy for him, kind of thing, and rebuild him up later on, though that kind of didn't happen because of other issues, because he got injured, or I think he got injured again, didn't he? No, that was, like, I think that was before. But he had other issues going on, so again, he had to leave the company or whatever, and then come back later on. So that sort of made him dip a little bit more. And it's, like, really tough as well, because it's like, is he the guy that people are really rallied behind and really behind as being the world champion? I don't know, but I certainly think that he could be a great babyface in that upper mid card. And, like, tonight we've got that match between him and Nick Nemeth. So I feel like he's gonna lose that, no matter what, even out considering the fact that he's still feuding seemingly with AJ Francis, and I think I said stuff about that before. But yeah, that feels like that's not over. But yeah, and it feels like, well, you need to elevate Francis, or you need to elevate more heels, and you, like, Swan can, and some of these baby faces can take some of these losses sometimes, and you can, like, still have them there and doing good stuff and having good matches and good stories, things like that. Certainly heels can. But, like, again, you can have these things go on and people still follow through and follow Richie and follow whoever else is, in the mix or whatever else it is. That's what makes the mix so interesting, so intriguing, so fun, so exciting, so, whatever, anything and everything. It makes it the wrestling that we watch every week. But there are many reasons why you don't want somebody to, like, virtually immediately, like Steve Macklin did, kind of drop right back down the card, or not be involved in the title picture again, or not seemingly be back in the title picture again for a long period of time, or whatever. You want that, you need that, like, consistency of saying, no, this guy was at this level or whatever, and, now that he's not, now that he's no longer in that position, we need to get back to it, or we need to try to get back to it, or whatever else it is. So, or we need to showcase him in a different light, to keep him at that position, or keep him seemingly at that position. You can't let him drop back down, because, like, yes, like, there are ups and downs, a little bits of ups and downs in that area, but it's like, you can't let him drop down too much, because otherwise it hurts him and it hurts whoever he's working with. And that's when it's like, well, if he loses, and he loses and he loses and he loses, and especially if he doesn't have a big story going on, or whatever else it is, or whoever it is, again, it starts becoming like, oh, well, your perception is going down. Like, if you've got a good story, like the story with Josh Alexander, that was really good. But yeah, again, it feels like, what are we doing? We've got to be looking at this in this light of saying, well, we can't just forget about him. We've got to feature him. And it's hard when it's like, we've got so many people to feature every single week or whatever it is, and so many different stories and so many different things happening and whatnot. But that's why it's TNA, baby. You know, you've got to have things going on all the time, and you've got to have something for everyone, and you've got to keep these guys feeling like they could break back into that division or break back up there, or even they could break up there for the first time, you know, because again, if you don't have that sense of anyone can win at any time or whatever, and it's all just, well, this person's definitely winning type thing, then it's just like very predictable. It's all like, oh, well, we know what's going to happen because, you know, all that's been happening for the last like few months has been he loses. Yes, eventually at some point maybe he'll win, you know, a big one or whatever else it is, but at that point, you know, okay, now we're back to it, cool, or we're getting back somewhere, but over those weeks and those months, it's been like, oh, okay, great, we don't need more of these lower card guys. We've already got enough of those lower card guys. What we need is more upper card guys that represent this new era, and that's why it's so important to keep a hold of some of those guys as well, because it's like any time that you lose any of those upper card guys, even if it's in the tag team scene or in the X division scene, because you can be an upper card guy in that division or in another division or whatever it is, but or in the knockouts or whatever. But like if you're not there no more, well, now it is good to replenish the roster all the time, but it is also one of those things of saying, well, we need to keep them as long as what we can, because like again, if they are going to leave, we need a long period of time of saying, okay, they're going to put this person over and that person over and this person over and all these other people. So, because again, you've put in so many hours and minutes and weeks and whatever else it is to getting to them to that point anyway. So it's like, and the audience has too in some ways, but again, like you've put in so many minutes and hours and thinking and planning and whatever else. And, you know, those reactions and those things of saying, okay, this person is over, let's try to go with them, or let's try to do stuff with them, or let's try to build this narrative for them to get this belt or to get up to that level or whatever it is. But yeah, it is what it is sometimes, obviously, as well. It's not an easy balance to split, and sometimes when you've only got so many hours in the week or in the episode or minutes or whatever else it is, and you need to tell so many other stories, I can get why some of this didn't really hit where it perhaps should have done. But that is like the difficulty of what you're doing sometimes. And I've said like maybe, you know, you need another couple of minutes, maybe 30 more minutes, maybe even a full hour more. But it starts to become like, well, how much is too much? What is the perfect amount or whatever of time to showcase these things every single week, and given just enough for people to be like actually being able to follow things, but not too much so that it's like starting to drag and starting to be like, oh man, this is starting to get too long, you know, and there's not you're just sort of filling the hours and it's filled with more of lackluster stuff. I don't think that they would do that. I don't think that they've, like, maybe they have some more lackluster things, like just some, like, you know, people coming in for a jobber match or whatever else it is here and there, whatever. But, like, again, they wouldn't fill another half hour with just that sort of stuff, or they shouldn't at least. But anyway, yeah, that it is one of those things. It is the difficulty of it, and sometimes you're trying to work through things and regime changes and other things are going on, but the creative team should be just on the creative and the booking, like saying, okay, we are here, we are going there, how are we going, or what are we going to have at that event or whatever it is, and why are we going to have it, and how are we going to have it, and all of that stuff. So a lot of the stories have to culminate or sort of culminate at that point, or you have to see a progression at that point, and you only see like more major progression every 3 months to 6 months, really. So yeah. But anyway, that is pretty much it here for this one. If you've gotten this far, though, I have got a special, I guess, Easter egg. Even if you don't want to hear it, I guess. But I am sick of the stuff that's going on around the place here. So fuck ICE, fuck Israel, and yeah, let's free Palestine. Let's get our world back into order, and no longer under this pedophile ring of control by Israel. Yep. No more of silencing people, because that's been happening, especially since TikTok got bought and things like that. There's a lot of suppression happening out there, so yeah, we're not for that. We've got to, have some level, even if you're, more right-leaning or whatever. I think the freedom of speech and whatnot is something that people believe in. So even if you're not all left-leaning or whatever else it is, I think people can still agree that, for the most part, what is happening and some of what is happening is bad and wrong and needs to be stood against. So yeah, that's where we're at here. We're not going to stand for any of that, and I'm going to continue to make videos, and sometimes here and there at the ends I'm going to say things for those people that have stuck around, because obviously I don't want to say it in the start of the videos, because I think people get the wrong idea about the videos and things like that. This is not what the videos are about, but and I also think that the algorithm and whatnot can pick it up more easily if it's in the beginning, like in the first 30 seconds or whatever. It doesn't really pick it up after that, but I don't really want to change topics once we're on topic. But I do want to say it here, there, and in certain places, just to get those people that might be tuning in and might care about this a little bit of behind the eight ball. And I've talked about it or touched on it. I really haven't talked about the issue, but now I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not going to, if they try to, or they do try and shut off my Facebook or Twitter or whatever else, or this YouTube, I will find a way to make another one, and another one, and another one. I will keep coming. I am not going away. I do not care, because you cannot, maybe with violence or with death or whatever, but beyond that, you cannot try to hurt me. And maybe you think you can silence me quickly and easily, but there are lots of voices out there, and there's a lot of people out there that do care about this. So if I do go away and people notice it, you might know why. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this one way or the other, and I hope you join me again in another one.